Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys, based on the time zones you all are coming from. So, guys, before we start with the session, can you all please give me a quick information if you all can see my screen and hear me loud and clear as well? Perfect. Thank you for the confirmation, everyone. So, my name is 𝐑𝐨𝐥𝐞-𝐁𝐚𝐬, and I've been working in this IT industry for more than 13 years now. So, the main agenda for today's session, we are going to discuss on Linux, why Linux is preferred, the Linux commands available in DevOps and the shell scripting basics and the available Git commands that we have so that we can use these Git commands in order to get started working on the version control system like we have Git. So first of all, if we talk about Linux platform, then see, first of all, Linux fundamentals and scripting is one of the most essential skill sets of a DevOps professional. Most of the companies have their environment on Linux and many other configuration management tools like we have Puppet, Chef, and Ansible. They have the master nodes running on Linux server. So that's why focus is to understand what exactly Linux is and how we can make use of it. So Linux, as we know, is basically an open source and community developed operating system for computers, servers, mainframes, mobile devices, and embedded devices. It has support on almost every major computer platforms, including x86, ARM, and making it one of the most widely supported operating systems available. So the design of Linux is same to Unix, but it has evolved to run on a wide variety of hardware, from phones to supercomputers. Every Linux-based operating system contains a Linux kernel, which manages hardware resources and a set of software packages that make up the rest of the operating system that we have. Now, why Linux is popular or why Linux is preferred? So Linux is different from the rest of the operating system in many important aspects. So first of all, it is free. That means first and perhaps most importantly, Linux is free. That means there are no licensing fees involved here. It's a simple open source and community tool. So we don't have to spend any amount to download and use it, unlike Windows. Next, it is open source. So Linux is open source software. Linux is open source software. That means it's licensing free and again we can make any changes here, and plus the entire support is given by the community team as well. That means again there is a good support from multiple team members, so the public can make use of this code to create Linux, and the entire code set is also made available to public to view, edit, and for users with the appropriate skills to contribute as well. Then it is highly secure as well. So once we have Linux installed on a system, there is no need to use an antivirus. And that's why you have noticed that especially the Mac OS systems, they don't need to have any kind of antivirus configured because Linux itself is, we can't say it is antivirus, we can say it is attack proof, but again, it is attack resistant. So Linux is a highly secure system. Moreover, there is a global development community constantly looking at ways to enhance its security, and each upgrade makes the OS more and more secure and robust. That's what we have as a part of Linux. And then it is stable and it provides a good stability and performance. That means Linux environment provides very high stability. That is, it does not need a reboot after a short period of time. And our Linux system rarely slows down or freezes, and we can work without any disturbances on our Linux systems. And Linux provides us remarkably high performance on various networks and workstations. And that's why Linux platform is preferred over Windows for the production environments. Now, in this section, we are going to learn about some common commands available under Linux. So there are multiple command set that we are going to make use of. So for that, instead of, although we have our command terminal also running on Linux platform, but for our hands-on, we are going to launch a sample, or you can say a simple dummy server, so that we can run all the commands on Linux on that particular server to avoid any kind of major changes. So for that, we are going to make use of a cloud platform so that we can use this cloud platform to launch a sample EC2 instance. So we are going to make use of our AWS cloud so that we can provision a sample instance, a sample virtual instance, so that we can perform all the activities on top of this EC2 instance. So we can use any of the platform, even if we do have the access to any of the local virtual box, we can use that, or we can use our account access to AWS, GCP, Azure, or any platform in order to get started. So here we can click on running instance to see the list of all the running instances in our account. We can click on launch instance. Basically, when we are launching any instance in our cloud platform, we can choose the environment. That means in which environment we want these instances to be deployed. So let's say here we want to deploy the instance running on top of Ubuntu distribution. Ubuntu is also a type of Linux distribution. So in Linux, there are multiple distributions available. We can work with Ubuntu, we can deploy we can deploy OpenSUSE, Ubuntu, Debian, Fedora. Depending upon the requirement, we can choose the distribution accordingly. Let's say here our goal is to deploy Ubuntu server. So here we can choose Ubuntu instance, the instance type. We can add a storage, tag, security group. Here we can give the access to HTTP port as well. We can create a new key pair by the name of, suppose, Ubuntu. And then we can download this key pair, because again, at the end, in order to get connected, we are going to make use of this key pair. So let's wait for this instance to be up and running, because usually it takes a bit of time for this instance to be deployed. So in order to get connected to this instance, we can, if we do have the access, we can make use of any SSH based client. We can use PuTTY, we can use MobiServe, or we can use the inbuilt SSH based clients available in order to get connected. So usually it takes a bit of time for this instance to be deployed here. Once this is up and running, we would be able to get connected. Once we deploy the instance, we do have the IP address here, so we can either use the DNS or the public IP in order to get connected and start working on our hands-on. So if you want, we can also use the inbuilt terminal, or when we're using the command prompt, we can use command prompt as well. We can choose any of the platforms in order to get started. So here if we are using the inbuilt command prompt, then we do have to use the inbuilt command prompt. So first of all, we are going to change the modification. That means we are going to change the permission of the key file that we have downloaded. So first of all, for changing the modification, for applying the changes to the permission that has been granted to each and every file, we can use chmod, and then we can define permissions, just like we have permission code as in 755 So depending upon all the permissions we want to grant, we can choose the permission number, and then we can define the access accordingly. And then we can make use of SSH commands. So here we can define SSHI, and then we have to specify, first of all, the path as in from where we have the key file downloaded. So we have the key file under our download folder. So here we have it by the name of ubuntu.pm, and then we have to use SSH interactive mode in user, and then we have to specify the key file, then again a space, and then we can specify the default username. Since we have chosen Ubuntu distribution, our default username is going to be Ubuntu, and then we have to specify the IP that we have on which the instance has been deployed. So here we can deploy the instance IP. And now if the credential is correct, we would be able to get connected to this Ubuntu server. And now we can start running operations on this Ubuntu server as and when required. All right. So now if we come back to our Linux distribution, so here there are multiple commands that we have the access to. on top of which we can get started. So first of all, we have the commands such as pwd, which is basically used for finding the password. And then we have the echo command. So echo is basically going to be used for echoing something, as in to return something in our console that from where we are going to work on. So let's say if we are going to make use of pwd, so here we can come back. So again, this is going to be our pwd refers to present working directory. Now, if we are unsure, okay, which directory currently we are working on, then we can use pwd. Pwd refers to present working directory. So if you type in pwd, we would be able to see the current directory that we are currently working on. And now if you want to change a path, then we can do that by using the cd command. All right. And then we have echo. So echo is basically used to return anything that we want to be displayed. So we can define echo and then the message. For example, here we want to echo welcome to Edureka's, and here we can define the message. And then once we run the command here, this is going to be returned to us. Echo as in this is going to be displayed to us as a result. And then we have the sudo command. Sudo command is basically used to give the admin privileges. For example, let's say if we type not, if let's say if we want to make a directory, then for creating a directory, we have a command called as mkdir. So mkdir refers to make directory. Mkdir refers to make directory. So now if we want to define any directory name, let's say here we want to create a directory, let's say by the name of Edureka, right? So now we have the directory defined by the name of Edureka, but multiple times, let's say when when the system is only going to allow the access to create directory or perform certain operations only to the root user as in the main administrator, the main root user, the account owner. So if that access has been given only to the account owner, and we want to run any statement with the admin privileges, just like in Windows, if we right click on any command on any program and then we click on run as administrator. So what it does, it simply executes the command with the admin privileges, so that in case of any kind of administrator access is required, then that can be granted to that particular statement that we are trying to work on. Right, so here we can make use of sudo. And now if we now take a look at, now let's suppose here we define mkdir, right? So now if we want to see the list of all the available files and directories here, so here we can make use of ls. So currently we are working in under this directory name as Ubuntu, and currently we have only one folder created by the name of Edureka, correct? So let's say if we make another folder by the name of mk by using mkdi command, let's say we make another folder by the name of Linux, or suppose we name it as demo. So again, a directory has been created. Now to see the list of all the content available in the current present working directory, so here we can use ls. Now we can see here we have two folders written to us. We have demo and Edureka. So that's how we can see the current directory. We can use the echo command. We can make use of make directory to create any directory that we want. And let's say if we want to clear the current screen, suppose if we have multiple commands that we have executed, and now we want to clear out the entire screen, then we have a simple command by the name of clear. So we can make use of clear, and clear is simply going to clear the entire screen for us so that we can start fresh. And to create a new file, now here we had seen how we can create a folder. So to create a new file, so we can, for creating a new file, we can use any of the text editors that we want to work on. So basically we have multiple text editors available, like we can make use of gedit, we have vEditor, we have the nano editor, and then we have vm editor as well. So you can make use of any text editors depending upon the requirement and whichever we are comfortable with. So let's say we want to create some file here. We want to create some file here, or some files are already present, and now we want to perform some changes on those files. Then for doing that, we can make use of any text editors. So let's say here we define sudo for giving the admin privileges, and then here we can make use of an editor called as nano. And suppose if there is a file already available, then we can specify the path of that file that we are going to modify. Or if we want to create a file, then we also have to specify the path of that file. Let's say we want to create a file under the same folder by the name of, let's say we have demo.txt, or it can be txt, it can be html, it can be any file that you want to create. Let's say here we want to create a simple demo.txt file. So here we can define demo.txt, and now we can see as soon as we type in nano, so this is going to open up the nano editor for the demo.txt file that we have created. So now we can start typing any command we want. For example, here we type in as a simple command as welcome to Edureka. We are learning Linux commands. So let's say here we have simple text file containing this content. Now, once we are done to save the content, we can simply press Ctrl S, and you can see here it says wrote 3 lines. So here we have the first line, the second line, and third line. And now if we want to come out, once we are done modifying the changes here, whatever changes we want to do, whatever we want to add, delete, or remove, we can simply press Ctrl X, and then this is going to take us out of the current editor that we have worked on. And we can use any editor we want. For example, let's say we want to work with V editor. So here we can use V, and then we can specify the same file name as demo.txt. So as you can see now, this has opened up the V editor. So this works a bit differently. So once we are done, we can press escape, and then to come out of this editor, we can simply type it as colon W and Q. So for save, once we are done, we can save it by pressing escape first, and then a colon, and then WQ. So this is going to simply save the file and then come out. So depending upon the requirement and the comfort level, we can choose the editors accordingly. And now if we use ls, then as you can see here, we have 3 content now. We have 2 folders that we have created, and then we also have a simple text file that we have created just now. So we have multiple other commands available. So now if we talk about the cp commands here, for example, here we may have multiple commands available, like we have cp for copying the files here. We have the commands for moving the files as well, for changing the directory as well. For example, suppose we have a command such as cp. So let's say here we want to copy the file from one path to the other, then we can make use of cp, where we can define the source and the destination as well, like from where we have to copy the file and where we have to paste it. So let's say here we want to copy one file here into any of the directory. For example, here we can make use of cp. Suppose here we have demo.txt. So we want to copy demo.txt, and now suppose here we want to copy this file under the path defined as demo, and we want to specify this file here in that location, then we can define it. So if there is a file by the name of, suppose here if we had demo.txt file, and now suppose if we open up, if we now, let's suppose before we do that, we can clear the entire screen now. And now suppose if we type in as ls, so although we have demo.txt already available, but now let's say if we want to move to any specific directory, then we can use a command such as cd. Cd is used for changing directory, and then we can define in which directory we want it to be changed. We want it to move into demo folder. We have demo as a folder created. So now if you want to move into demo, so here we can define demo, and now we can see here, now we have moved into demo. So since we have already copied the file, so now if we use ls under demo, we would be able to see this demo.txt file has already been copied here, right? Let's say we want to copy another file. Let's say here we can again make use of cp. Now we have, suppose let's say here we can come out now. To come out, that means to go back to the previous directory, we can use cd, and then we can use the period symbol here. So basically using the 2 dots here, this is going to take us to the previous directory. That means the directory above the current directory that we are working on, right? So let's say here we want to copy another file under demo folder. So here we can define cp again. Let's say we want to copy about.html as well, right? So, or index.html also under demo. So here we can define index.html, Now we want this to be copied under demo folder. So here we can define demo. Here we can define demo. So this is going to be copied under demo. So now if we open up, suppose let's say here again we navigate to demo folder, and now we use ls. So we can see now index.html is also available under demo, as it has been successfully copied by using the cp command. All right. And same like cp, we also have mv. So copy is when we have made a copy, and now if you want to move the files altogether, so let's say if we again come back to our directory here, we can define directory. Let's say here we have these files. Now we want to move contact file directly into demo. So here we can define mv, same process. We want to move the file contact.html into demo folder. So here we can define, first of all, the source has to be defined. That means from where the file has to be moved, and then the destination, where the file has to be moved. So here we can define the path. And now again, if we move to suppose demo and we use as ls, so you can see demo, this contact.html has been successfully moved. And suppose now if we come back, use ls, we can see contact.html is no longer available in the main directory because now it has been moved into the demo folder. And we have seen that there are multiple other common commands such as chmod. So chmod is going to change the ownership, or you can see the permission for any directory. For example, let's say we have multiple directories here. Now we want to change the permission for, suppose, let's say here we want to change the permission for demo file directory here, right? So let's say we want to change the permission to 400 for the demo folder that we have created. So we can choose just change ownership, and then we can define the folder name, or suppose here we have folder name or file name. Now we can see here for certain commands we don't get the access of running the command until and unless we have given the admin privileges, and for that we have to make use of sudo command. So for that, here we can simply make use of sudo to give the admin privileges, and then we can define the same command as, suppose we want to change to modify the ownership for, suppose here for different folders we had different levels of ownership. We have different permissions, like we can choose 777 for keeping the entire folder to public. We can keep it to 755, we can keep it to 644 depending upon the requirement. And once we use the sudo command, then we can see here the ownership of, that means the permission of this folder has been successfully created. Why? Because we have now given sudo as an admin privileges. So as a part of different directory and different structures that we have available here in Linux. All right. Now let's say here we want to make use of different command sets. For example, let's suppose here we want to simply see the interface configuration. So like we have the ifconfig, we want to see the interface configuration, then we can make use of interface. So chown is basically like the owners. For example, suppose here we define the username as 400. For example, suppose we want to change the permission of this user. So here we have to make use of chmod. Suppose here we can define chmod, and then we can define, suppose here we define 400 for the given folder as demo. So what we had done using chmod, we change the ownership, we change the permission. Whereas if we use sudo and chown, suppose here we have a user by the name of, suppose user1 for this folder that we define under the name of demo. So chown is basically going to change the ownership of the users from one user to the other. For example, user one may have this directory created, but again, even if this directory was created by user one, we want to change this ownership of this directory, suppose to another user as or suppose user two, then we can make use of chown as in change ownership. So using change ownership, we can change the ownership of the user of that particular file or directory, and by using chmod, we can change the access permissions. Now we know that git is also again going to be pre-configured. So let's do one thing. Let's clear the screen here. Now we know that git is also configured here. So using git we know is basically a version control system. So using git, we can see the list of all the changes that has been done in a particular file. So for example, Now, let's say here we want to see the difference between two files. For example, let's create two files here. Let's say here we define sudo nano, and here we may have demo.txt. So here we already have demo.txt available, so we can come out. And here, let's say we create another file as demo1.txt. And here we type in as common Linux, or suppose here we have same message as welcome to Edureka. And then here we have common Linux commands. Let's say we save it. We can come out. Now we want to see the difference in these two files. So here we can use difference. We want to see the difference between demo text and demo1.txt. So these two files that we have, so we can use the command as difference, same way like we have get difference. So difference is going to simply show us the difference between these two files. So we can see welcome to Edureka again is different. So we don't have exclamation sign available in the first file, whereas in the second one we have exclamation sign available. And in the first file we have we are learning Linux commands, whereas in second file we have common Linux commands available in the third line, right? So here we can say first line, first column, and here we have third line, third column. So what exactly has been the main difference? We can see that difference by using a difference tool. And let's say if we want to see the history of all the commands that has been executed, so here we can make use of a command such as history. So history is so simply, as you can see, there have been 44 commands that we have executed so far. So you can see the list of all the commands which has been executed, they are going to be displayed to us. Now in Ubuntu, we have also a complete package as well. We have a package manager. So let's say if we want to install certain packages, then we can use now if we are using Linux 2, then we are having a different package. We have apt in Ubuntu distribution, because even in Linux we have multiple distributions available. Like we have Ubuntu, we have Debian, we have CentOS. And currently, let's say if we are using Ubuntu, then we want to use then okay, if you are looking to install certain packages, then we can make use of the inbuilt package managers available in Ubuntu. So if we are using Ubuntu distribution, we can use apt package manager. Let's say we want to install something, right? So let's say here, when we are installing something, then we have to resync all the services before we install something, just like rebooting systems. So for that, we can make use of a command such as sudo apt, and then here we have update. So basically what exactly it does, apt is basically a package manager. Apt is like a package manager available under Linux distribution. And if we want to resync all the services that has already been configured, or we may have been installed, or we can recently, then to resync all the services, we can make use of this command as update. And we are going to simply resync the current package manager that is apt. So basically this is going to simply resync all the packages available and which has been currently installed as a part of service. So each and every service is going to be resynced in case some components they haven't been synced together. So basically this is advisable when we are trying to install any new package in our Ubuntu distribution that we have created so far. Now this is a new Ubuntu distribution that we have created. Let's say if we want to install any web servers here, for example, if we take a look at the public IP, so if we copy the public IP and if we enter this public IP in the browser, let's say here we enter this public IP in the browser, we won't be able to see anything returned. Why? Because this is currently a blank Ubuntu server. Now to see this being opened up in the browser, first of all, we do need to have a web server installed and configured on this instance, on those Ubuntu server, right? So for that, we have to install, we can either install Apache server, or we can install the Nginx server, depending upon the requirement. So let's say here we want to install Apache server. So for that, again, we can simply clear the screen. Let's say if we want to install Apache, so here again, we can give the admin privileges by using sudo command. And then for installation of the package, we can specify, let's say here we can define, again, make use of apt as a package manager. And then here we can define install. So from apt package manager, we can define install, and here we want to install the name of the package. For example, let's say here our goal is to install Apache 2. So here we can define Apache 2, the name of the package that's currently available in this package manager. So this is going to install Apache 2 server. So here we want to continue. We can define it yes. So based on the current package that we have defined, so this is going to download and install and automatically configure the current package that is going to be downloaded. So once this Apache server has been successfully installed, we would be able to open up this server in the browser if the port access has been given by using the security group. Then we would be able to see the home page of Apache server opened up in the browser once this has been successfully installed. So generally, depending upon the type of package, it can take anywhere between 1 minute to even 5 minutes as well, depending upon the package that we are looking to download and configure here. So you can see here it has been configured. That means now if we come back and we hit refresh page, we can see Apache, the same IP has now is now returning the Apache 2 server homepage, which has been successfully installed on the current instance that we had defined. Now next we have something called as curl. So curl is basically a command line tool to transfer data to or from a server, and using any of the supported protocols like we have HTTP, FTP, POP3, SFTP, SMTP, Telnet, LDAP. So we can use this curl to again to send and receive data from anywhere. So let's say here we can define the command such as curl. So curl is something that you're also going to use for installation of multiple packages and to work with sending and receiving data in DevOps. So here we can define curl, and then we can define the URL first. So curl has to follow a specific URL. So let's say here we define URL suppose for Python. So here we can define HTTPS python.org. This can be any package from where we want to again transfer data to or from a given server. So here we can define the URL for it. And basically, let's say we also have a parameter defined as O. So basically, O is used to save the downloaded file on the local machine with the name provided in the parameters. So let's say here we are going to download a package, then we can define curl -o and then the link from where the package needs to be downloaded and saved. So here the data is going to be received, that is going to be downloaded and saved under any specific name that is going to be defined. So as you can see here, the data is going to be fetched. Now currently this was not any file here, that's why this data was again fetched from that, and then here demo is currently a directory, and that's why the data cannot be written directly to a directory. It can be a file or any specific file path that we may have defined. So this can be used for sending data in and out or by using the curl package manager. So for example, let's suppose here we want to download a file with curl. So we can specify the file path. For example, we do have an example available here like this one. So let's say here we want to use curl, and then we can define the O to download the file here by the name. So we are going to save the file by the name of linux.tar.exe as a compressed file, and we want to download the file from the given URL as in https cd and kernel. So here we want to get the data from, and once it has been received, then we want to save it by under this file name and by using the option package here. So once we execute this, first of all, curl is going to download the given data from the given path. As you can see, download has been started. 48.2 MB has been successfully downloaded, and this file is going to be saved. And suppose once we are done, we can untar the file here by using tar, and then we can define the file name that needs to be tarred here. So here we can define linux.tar.exe, and then so what it does, it simply untars a file that we may have saved as a part of the requirement. Then we also have another command by the name of df. So if you want to see the current available free space available in a drive, Then we can make use of df to see the list of all the free space available in each and every directory. So you can see here this one has been used by almost 21% as part of the directory alive. We can say directory defined here by using the common command as df. And same way shell scripting as well. Shell scripting is basically writing a series of commands for the shell that can be executed. So it can combine both lengthy and repetitive sequences of commands into a single and simple script. And we can store the script and execute it whenever we want. And basically this significantly reduces the effort required by the end users. So let's say here we want to run a complete sequence of commands, and we can simply write it in a single file and then we can have it executed as part of the requirement. And if we are looking to work with VCS as in version control system, then VCS is also generally inbuilt. And to see the current status for Git as part of the difference that we defined here, so we can simply use Git status to see current Git status again. Now currently Git repository has not been initialized, so we can simply start by defining Git init. So Git is also we can say predefined available in Linux. So to start using Git, we can define Git init, and then we can start using all the common commands available under Git to start using Git as a part of VCS for any kind of changes that we want to do in the given directory. Thank you so much for joining, guys, and have a great day ahead. Take care. Bye bye.